going to go one by one and have you tell your stories, and then we're going to open it up to some broader issues and talk about that stuff. Oh my goodness, look at my socks. Todd, talk a little bit about what you guys are doing. What are the challenges facing a clerk's office?
Well, in Macomb County, we faced some severe budget cuts. The property values in our area went down, and as a result, the revenue to the county went down. However, the demand for our services stayed the same, so we still process the same amount of court cases, vital records, birth, death records, run the same amount of elections. So we needed to find a way to get more efficient. We faced a 20% staff cut and a 20% budget cut, which is in our case about $1 million cut. And so our county is rolling out Google Apps for Government. The clerk's office went first about 2 years ago. About a year later, the circuit court operation followed. And now as we speak, the rest of the county is rolling out and should be done by June 30th.
And so describe some of the applications that you've actually developed.
Some of the uses that we have for it, of course, is basic email. That's what everybody thought they were getting when they first got it. But Google Apps for Government is much more than just email. Some of the things we use are Google Docs, which when we saw it, we thought, well, we might use it, we might not. One example is our job is to keep the minutes of our Board of Commissioners. And during the Board of Commissioners meetings, we need to track the roll call votes, resolutions. We get frequent calls after meetings, who voted how. Now we use that as a Google Doc so that any member of the public and commissioners who want to can log in, see the minutes happening real time, see roll calls. One of the things that was very difficult for our staff is that commissioners would make complicated motions and amendments to motions and amendments to resolutions that were being considered, and it was hard to get that language right. Now with the Google Doc, we have enabled it so that commissioners can be editors as well during the meeting, and that way if they've got complicated amendments or motions, they can see that happening online. That's one use. Another example is trying to communicate with court clerks while they're in session. Obviously, you can't call a clerk on the phone. Judges frown on that as they're trying to move their dockets along. But using the Google Chat service, we're able to quickly get a hold of any clerk as a docket's happening. Built right into the Gmail is a way to do SMS texting. So if you need to text to somebody's cell phone, you can do that. We have many judges, many attorneys who have cases at the same time in different courts. So the issue is, how do you track down the attorney when the judge is ready to call their case? Our court clerks now can type in that attorney's cell phone right into their browser window, right into their email. They can get a hold of the attorney. Your judge is ready to call your case. You better get up here. So those are three quick examples.
And one of the ones you mentioned was security paper, this using Google Spreadsheet for...
Security was a big and an important issue with us. One of the things that we do is vital records, birth records, death records, some business registrations. And so obviously with identity theft, it's important to track those. As well as court cases, we have suppressed cases and cases involving children and some things that just aren't public by nature. One of the reasons, or one of the things we use a Google Spreadsheet or a Google Doc for is to track our security paper for our vital records. And security is so important to us that we decided to use the Google service to protect it even more. And one of the things it does is make sure we don't issue a duplicate certificate number, for example, when we're tracking our security paper. We have audits, we've had the state come in and others, and we need to make sure we're very meticulous in how we track that.
Awesome. Amy Gibbons, as I mentioned, is with the St. Louis, Missouri County Library. She is a service desk technician. Amy, how are you guys using the Google Apps platform?
Well, we actually rolled out to Google Apps almost a year ago now. So we rolled out to a group of about 650 employees across 20 branches. So we're kind of a large library system. We've got a really broad skill set in our employee users. So it's been really nice to move to Google Apps because the most basic users are picking up Gmail. They're doing fine. They can click on links. Their bosses send them to docs, and they can handle it. The more on the edge of things type of staff they're really eager to jump in and create sites. It's kind of funny when I thought about it. It wasn't really that we did any one huge thing with Google Apps that like shook the library world to its foundations or something. It was more like we had a bunch of little tools that just worked really easily, that we could fit into holes that we had that we didn't even know we had. For example, across our 20 branches, it used to be that if you walked into a library branch and checked out a book, wherever you returned that book, it needed to be shipped back to the branch that it came from. So each branch had its own collection. that when you consider how far apart some of our branches are, that turns into lots and lots of boxes of books and movies and music being shipped all over the place, lots of gas used. So we moved to something that's called a floating collection. So wherever the item is returned, that's where it stays. That sounds great, right? Well, not so great, a month later when you are completely out of mystery books and overflowing with like new nonfiction or something like that. I'm sure you can imagine previously handling this with email correspondence back and forth, lots of reply alls, pretty ugly. Instead, what we're using is a spreadsheet. It's just a kind of a simple thing, but it's collaboration with a column for each branch. Each branch manager can come in and mark it, literally like red. This type of item is overflowing. I need help. Another branch will respond. I can take that. Ship me some. So that was a kind of a nice catch up with a library innovation. We managed to keep up with it using a Google Apps product behind it. Other examples, I moved our intranet over into Google Sites over the last many weeks, and it's been great to maintain. It's been easy for the staff users to search for. There's a lot of kind of surprisingly boring policy and procedures in libraries that can change pretty frequently. Just Google search the site, they can find out. I actually witnessed this. I saw a staff member, I was kind of lurking nearby. A library patron wanted to know how many DVDs can I check out? And I saw them go to the intranet and look it up. It was very good. They searched out, they find the answer is 10, so that's cool. Yeah, we've just been finding a lot of small ways to keep up with the ways that our library is changing.
I don't think there are small ways.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of this book, Little Bets by Peter Sims, and he says that little things add up to, it's creating an innovative culture where you say we can do something rather than figure out ways you can't. So
yeah, it's really true. And as we give more examples to the entire library system of like, ooh, that's how we did this, it causes other people to think and create something. So yeah, lots of little stuff.
Empowering people, it's
Yeah.
nice. As I mentioned, the chief of of Westerville, Ohio. Now tell everyone, Chief, where Westerville is.
It's a suburb of Columbus, the largest suburb of Columbus.
There you go. And my in-laws lived where he keeps his camper, so we have a connection. Talk a little bit about what you're doing. People sometimes don't always think about police and using these tools, but there are uses, aren't there?
Oh, absolutely. This started with our city in 2009 with a very aggressive and comprehensive technology process we were putting into place where we migrated to Google completely in 2009. Since then, we've built the first data center, municipal data center in the country. That transferred over to the police department, and we had started out looking for an intelligence database. And for those in law enforcement, that's a very tedious process to make sure the security measures are there. We sent people all over the country to look at different intelligence processes. When they came back, it was cost prohibitive for a city of our size, 40,000 people roughly, to be able to purchase that and maintain it. So 2 of our staff members started looking to Google, and we had already built a relationship with Google. And we sat down and started talking about this concept of building a police portal. And with that, we now have real-time information to everybody, everywhere, and they can retrieve and input information at their discretion.
And you mentioned backstage that this is actually being rolled out broader, right?
That's correct. We're spearheading a regional effort right now to connect about 27 different departments to where we start looking at inputting information so we can use predictive analysis to solve crimes prior to them happening.
It sounds kind of, what's that Tom Cruise movie? It sounds like a Minority Report or something.
It's pretty far out there for police departments. Police
Right.
departments are generally pretty conservative. We like to think our people are on the edge and looking at forward ways of thinking.
And I actually had on my show a couple weeks ago the folks from Santa Cruz, California, where they're using some of these. They found, guess what? They have all sorts of data. If they can put it in a form where they can actually use it, they're able to see, are we patrolling the right areas where we need to patrol?
It has long-reaching effects and budgetary effects because that's how you build your staffing off of also are the statistics that you pull in. And you've got to have a database and a system you can look at that.
We have to talk about security, and particularly with police. There is a police department which has said had concerns about security. And how did you deal with the security issue?
When we look at our individual department and dealing with third-party vendors, we can't provide the security that Google provides. People have to understand that this is Google's business, and they would not allow security breaches to happen. What we find from the law enforcement side is security breaches are generally individual issues, not systemic.
And so was there a process, a buy-in process, and in fact, I'll open this to all three of you. How did your teams, did they buy into the change? Did they freak out? Did they, Amy and I were talking before, but sometimes you can be in a shared document and somebody else starts working in it, and your first couple times it can really sort of scare the bejeebers out of you.
I think that was a good kind of freak out.
Yeah.
Though. It's always cute to watch when the new ones use a Google document. They're like, somebody else is typing,
Yeah.
It's collaboration. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of freak out from the main staff, and we actually had a lot of support from higher up administrators, of which I'm clearly not one. But we had a couple of key people that were really into it, and with a whole bunch of training, it was pretty smooth.
Todd, did you have some of the, earlier we were talking with Casey Coleman from GSA. She was saying, okay, there's going to be the 20% that there's just no way we're going to be able to satisfy them.
We had some of that. It was a little contentious at first. One of the things, just following up on what Amy said, was when you're collaborating in a document, we had big concerns, especially with our resolutions. If a commission passes something, can somebody else go in there and change it? And no, because you have full control over who can edit what. And even if you had a staff member edit it, it's very easy to go back to a previous revision because you have revision history right on there. So you just click File, Revision History, pick the one to restore. There's a full audit trail that way. So we're very satisfied with that part of it.
Chief, we saw in the video, not all cops are technologists, and I would imagine that there are some that go, okay, this new technology, yeah, I'm not doing that. Was that an issue at all?
It's becoming more and more of a necessity to the position. We did have a couple people who could not get along with the new processes, and they chose to leave the organization. Well, this came at a very good time for us because we were also switching over our software platform, our CAD and records management system. And we sent teams out to view other organizations and their process. And what we found, there were two major issues: education and implementation when they had failures. So when we looked at that, we knew that we had to provide extra time and effort toward education and implementation. And it was a very slow and deliberate process to get the people on board.
And talk a little bit about that process, because I think everyone's going through that a little bit. How did you walk people through this?
Mandatory training. And then you make it as friendly as possible and show them the easy things that will benefit them the most. For an officer to have total access to all of those records right from the cruiser at real time is a great thing for them, and that's an easy sell to them. And then you see they naturally progress on and start looking at things on how to marry these different products like Google and our software platform, New World Systems. And I don't even think we've realized the potential of that yet.
Is there a part, and again, for all three of you, is there a part of this, and we've talked about this throughout the day, where all of a sudden you build a platform and then you start building upon it? I think it's what you were just talking about, Chief.
That's correct. In our portal, it has a number of different tabs where we can go to. And we've had frontline officers come to us and go, how about this product? Parking citations and parking issues. We have a major university and 3 hospitals in our town. There are parking issues with that all the time. We just kind of treated those as a necessary evil we had to deal with. Well, now there's a platform to address parking issues, how many times citations have been issued for warnings, and actual citations have been issued. So officers can go in, look at the history, and then take any kind of appropriate action.
We're finding that with Google Sites because people, again, think they're only getting email. But when you click on your Chrome browser, in addition to the email, you've got various things, docs, sites. And Sites is a very from our point of view, a powerful web editor. It's not going to give you anything a high-end professionally web coder will do, but our county can't afford a lot of high-end professional web coders. We just have people who have information, and that information needs to get out on the web. And what we're able to do is have our county's template So the county's template is done by the high-end person with locked down certain parameters. But then using a Google Doc or Google Sites, certain staff members have been given permission by their department heads to publish information that's relevant to their areas, again with complete revision history. So now what used to take somebody editing or filling out a service request form to IT, then you submit it, then you wait for the push of the web to go out to be pushed, and if you miss the push, then you got to wait for the next day. Ours is now able to publish within minutes of events happening. It cuts down the process and really promotes transparency.
Amy?
Yeah, I don't deal with this directly, but one of my coworkers has to wrangle a whole lot of statistics. Library is yet another, well, I'm sure all government entities like statistics a lot, but libraries really like them because then we can tell what people like and we can serve our patrons better. And she was telling me about the previous method of compiling these statistics to present to the administrators and to the board every month, and apparently it took like 2 weeks out of every month to get this monthly statistical report pulled together between emails from the appropriate manager and moving it into a database and putting it over here. She managed to recreate the entire process using Google Forms. The managers, they still need to go and fill out the form, but once that's taken place, she's used some import cell features and she's got statistics like 1 hour later. And when she did that, she kind of came out of the office like dancing. She was so happy. So.
Chris,
She has her life back. How
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Chris, and
Now
we've
she can
hit
do other
on,
things.
and I think we've all hit on one of the things that I've heard already today, and that's the internal customer. When we talk about communication to the internal customer. One thing we've been able to do with sites and documents is actually with our research and development teams, put updates on there, open to the entire department. So if they want to know where we're at in a project, they just jump right into the Google application and they can tell exactly where we're at.
And it also saves from all those horrible emails with 75 people on them and some spreadsheet attached, and you have no idea which is the official version and all those kinds of things. Technology-wise, how hard was this to roll out, to do? Any challenges there?
We did it in 3 different levels. So we started just with our office, which is about 64 users at the clerk's office. About half a year to 9 months later, then our circuit court operation came on, and that was another 300 users or so. And then right now, for the next 2 weeks, the rest of the county is coming, so a grand total of about 1,900 users in our case. And it was really straightforward. One thing that I would recommend is to, at least from our point of view, compress the rollout period to as short as you can, at least in our area. Because the issue is where there was some confusion is we came from group-wise email system, and for a while some departments tried running dual systems, and to me it would be a lot better, shorten that rollout period, do a big bang, and then deal with issues from that point forward.
Yeah, it works. That's what we did. We rolled out very fast. Yeah, we talked about it to the system for a month or two beforehand, repetitive warning, not exactly warnings because that sounds kind of scary, but announcements and advice and hey, go check out this video, this is coming. And then the July 4th weekend, thanks to some really excellent planning on the part of our IT director, everybody did their little part, and then when he pointed at me, I did my part. We got the user accounts made, got the distribution groups made, and I think it was Tuesday morning because it was a 3-day holiday weekend. It was actually really smooth. We were a little, kind of confused Tuesday morning. Usually there's a big rollout of something and there's, something exciting happens, but it was really pretty smooth.
Chief?
The same thing. What we found, we had a lot of people that used Google from the private side, on their own personal side,
Right.
so they were familiar with it. But I can't emphasize enough the educational piece. And that has to be very strong and deliberate, or you won't get the buy-in from the folks. Our migration was very, very simple, very few hiccups.
One of the things we talked, and in fact we did, we had our session, our pre-session, using Google Hangout, which it was your first Google Hangout, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Were you freaked out by it, or was it
All you do is
okay?
you turn on the browser and start talking. So
Yeah.
actually, we're thinking of different uses now where we can use it in our office. We have a county executive, Mark Hackle, who's very forward-looking, and so he's also not media shy. And one of the things is there's ways we can use that to help promote his message of make Macomb your home, but also some things for our office and the county clerk as well.
Very nice. And I know at my at GovLoop, it's more, there's these people who don't remember phones with cords, for God's sakes. And that's how they communicate. It freaks me out. Talk a little bit about everybody, federal, state, and local, has their do more with less tattoos. How did this address any cost issues for you? Did you find it was less expensive moving to the cloud, or made no difference, or any budget impacts?
From law enforcement, absolutely, the absolute savings. When we look at regional police meetings, in the future we'll be doing chiefs meetings. We can use Hangout. When we look at purchasing software, maintaining software, that's a price that we don't have to worry about. That's all done through Google. So when we look at the price, there were huge savings in this. The efficiency with the employees is tremendous, and they see that. When they're more efficient, they work more efficient. And that's kind of sounds weird, but when they feel they're more efficient, they will work more efficient. If you let them work, they'll go far beyond your expectations.
My favorite 6 words: helping them do their jobs better. Go ahead.
We found the advantage was having a fixed cost. So as we were looking at alternatives, we had an IT steering committee set up, and we looked at Google, and with Google, you see what you get, and here's the price, and it's so much per user. And so that was the starting point. Then we tried to compare that to other solutions, and it's a moving target, and to this day, we had a hard time nailing that down. The closest we could get in our case of about 1,900 users was that if we wanted to offer the exact same thing that we're getting with Google Apps for Government with an alternative, it would cost us twice as much as what we're paying with Google Apps.
Wow.
And so then there was some debate, well, does everybody really need everything, and you don't need this, and you don't need that? But we really wanted to roll it out for everybody so that all departments could provide this, and even basic things like chat. A lot of different entities do chat. But in our case, with the court clerk, if a judge is holding court in a different courtroom, or we have a visiting judge that moves, or they change the layout, I don't want to have to go through a big bureaucratic mess just to set up a clerk on a workstation to use chat. In our case now, all they have to do is open up their browser, log in with their credentials. Some of our administrators are using the 2-step authentication now. Then they can do that from any location, whether a judge is holding court in a school gymnasium for a school judge thing, or whether they're in the regular courtroom.
Yeah, I think maybe the secret is not exactly how much exactly that you're saving, and I say this as, I don't know if you can tell by my title, I'm a help desk person, so I wasn't, deciding any of the financials or anything like that. But from my perspective, you can think of what it is that we did not buy. Like then, because of Google Apps, we did not buy separate inventory software to keep track of our around 1,000 workstations. We did not buy a separate chat program for the reference librarians to chat with each other. The savings is kind of built into the product that you're already buying. We were really existing in a piecemeal kind of place previously, so we were able to kind of back away from that a bit.
I want to open it up if there are any questions out there. There are a couple of our Year Up folks who are out there in the audience, aren't there? Oh yeah, there they are. So if you have questions, anyone have any questions for or similar challenges, or don't be shy. Okay, right down here. Hold on, look, he's going to come and he's racing over.
I don't want to be on.
No one's going to see you.
Is this working?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. I was wondering if you had any challenges with your workforce, because you might be a union workforce or something like that. Have you had any challenges with workforce?
We are, in our operation, we have 2 unions, United Auto Workers and AFSCME, and if it hadn't been for strong union representation, it would not have gone as smoothly. So in our office, we work very closely with our union stewards. Our union stewards want to make sure that their workers are hardworking, show up, get here on time. So we got very little resistance, and the few times we did, we were able to contact the union steward, and issues were resolved very quickly. Usually it was just communication issues.
We include members of the labor relations team on every research and development team. So they have some say into the progress of what we're doing.
So it sounds like it goes back to that communications. If they feel like they're part of it, then they're bought in from the start.
One piece of that our union members, particularly AFSCME, really liked is in our court section, we created a dashboard where we put all 31 of our different court jobs and the dates and how far ahead or behind we are. And then we did that on a Google spreadsheet that the entire office can see as read-only, and it's color-coded. So with Google spreadsheets, you can put a chart real easily. And so when we started off, there was a lot of red lines, which is bad, and very few green lines. But by the fact that our union members were able to look and say, here's what I'm responsible for, here's what I'm going to take charge of, now it's mostly green most of the time. And it's just very rewarding. That feedback loop for our union members was great and inspired by AFSCME in large part with the UAW.
Transparency. Yes.
Chief, have you been audited by the FBI, or how are you complying with CJIS rules?
Well, through Google, and as you probably know with the department and issues we're talking about, they're working every day and in just about full compliance. We comply with all of our state laws, which are compliant with the FBI, so they've had no issues. Our biggest issue was the intelligence portion of that portal, and it's very secure. And now that it's run through very limited inputs, whereas before we had people that could dump what they felt was intelligence right into our open-ended system, it comes through a funnel now to make sure there's a criminal predicate available and that it truly is intelligence to be put into the system. So there's a filter there where there wasn't before, and actually it's a double filter, 2 people, where there wasn't before.
Any other? Yeah, over here.
Chief, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but for law enforcement, I know LA City had problems migrating their system over to Google for their police department. What did you do differently that allowed you to do that?
Well, I think the one thing you got to look at is the size and complexity of Los Angeles, and I can't speak for them. What I can speak for is the Westerville Division of Police, and we were very deliberate, did our homework. We had interdisciplinary teams that were involved in this throughout the city, not just the police department, but the IT folks, fire, communications, right down to our utilities. They all participated in this, so it became a citywide effort on how do we make this the best and easiest process. So the migration was not hard at all for us. Now we're seeing the different departments start to utilize Google for their own discipline and expanding on that.
And oftentimes it feels sometimes like we're comparing apples to oranges rather than apples to apples with the security questions.
Well, and again, I would fall back and say to those folks that are concerned about this security as we all should be, this is Google's livelihood. If it weren't a secure system, they wouldn't be in existence today.
2 parts. Chief, did Google go in the patrol cars? And then for all of you, did your organizations allow personally owned devices to be brought in?
Yes, we have not just the patrol cars, but handheld devices like the bicycle officers. They have total access right from their handheld device. And it's real time when we get into the portal part of it.
Our county does allow bring your own devices as well. And it's very easy to manage from the administrative panel as to what you allow access to and what you don't. One nice thing about it, which is what you were saying, apples to oranges comparison, is with the cloud, you don't have multiple copies of your data floating around out there, whether it's on a USB device or a phone. You access the one set of data from your mobile device. And so if a mobile device is lost, it's very easy to no longer allow connectivity to your data source.
Yep, library also has connected users to their personal mobile devices and made a lot of them really happy when they knew that that was going to be a part of the solution. Obviously, we don't have quite the security concerns that other organizations might because we're the library, but yeah, it was a
It might
popular
mess with who
feature.
has what books we're going to save.
Oh, we will give you a fine. Yeah.
Todd, right. Todd, talk a little bit about what you chose to enable and what you didn't and how you made that decision.
What we chose to enable everything by default in Google Apps for Government. So Google Plus is available, docs, sites, and video. And because we figured we had a choice of where do we want our bottleneck. We could either have a bottleneck being people are getting too innovative and doing too much and we have to rein them in, or we could have the bottleneck of people wanting to do various things and being innovative, but our IT people are restricting it and holding it back. And so we chose the first one, and so far, we haven't had anybody go out and do anything that they shouldn't do with the Google site or Google video. We're used to operating in an environment where things we do are subject to Freedom of Information Act and public and all the rest. And there's full accountability with Google anyway, so it's straightforward for an administrator to track and see who's done what.
No videos of judges' cats?
No videos of judges' cats. Certain judges' calendars do not get public, all that stuff. So.
Let's just ask each of you to give folks a thought, maybe that you would hope they'd walk out the door with. Amy, you start.
I think you might be surprised by what your staff can handle. The library is full of a very wide range of skill sets and interests, from folks that are having a hard time remembering how to log into their email to some other folks that are champing at the bit to build a site. Nevertheless, they adapted to change very well with support. As the chief was saying, we also mandated training, and most of them were actually pretty pleased, even though it sounded mandatory. They were pretty interested to see what they could do, and I don't know, I was very pleased with how they responded. They just jumped right into it.
Todd?
Ours would be facts are stubborn things. So as you get questions and issues come up like were raised, keep asking the question until you get the clear fact, because we found with the Google Apps for Government solution, there are clear facts explaining it, and there's a lot between sometimes where the opinions start and where the fact actually is.
Chief?
Develop a strategic process, heavy on the education and training, and then allow your people to be efficient and effective.
Awesome.
And they will be.
We have to mention that Todd's son is somewhere. Where is his?
Thomas.
Oh, there he is. And he got your first trip to Washington? Well, welcome to town. Nice to have you here. Thank you guys very much for doing this. Really appreciate it.